Today on Locked On Rockies, there's no real easy way to say this. The Colorado Rockies, they just got their asses kicked.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 7th day of August in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. If your team is Colorado Rockies, I want to hear from you. What's on your mind after the Rockies are outscored 45 to 6. And yes, you can take the grain of salt of the position player pitching there at the end of the game. You can also, look at the fact that the Rockies going into that inning were down 12-1 as well. So whatever it makes you feel a little bit better about that. Sure, because this was, when what we said here is like, it's not only a highlight and a problem with the Rockies pitching staff. Kyle Freeland not able to really shake off. Sounds like still dealing with a little bit of the illness there, allowing the home run, the 6 earned runs. Another day of the Rockies starters giving up at least a minimum of 5 earned runs as the starters, and it's just flat out unacceptable. I mean, this is just. And again, we talked about this, and even with the Pirates series, the good vibes and all that stuff, the comebacks, always great to see. But that's still the backdrop of all of that is the fact that the Rockies can't stop giving up runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. And yes, this is a team with a young bullpen, but this is a team that's also with young starters as well. But they're being let down by the starters. The starting pitching is not performing at anywhere close to the ability at the rate to get these guys to be in competitive games. I mean, they came back from down 9-0. I mean, that again, a crazy thing to say, but now as you're looking at it here, when you're talking about runs allowed here, not only did the Rockies just allow 10 straight, at least a minimum of 10 straight runs in 3 games, the Rockies now have allowed at least double-digit runs in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of their last 10, 11 ball games. And that's just, you're not, no wonder you're in the position you're in, right? I mean, again, this is the finale of the 20-1 score blind looks a lot worse because you consider what happened in the 9th. But it's still just flat out like, they're not missing bats. They're not getting strikeouts. They're not being effective. They're walking guys. They don't have control. I mean, this is just now a long period of time of just sloppy, bad, messy pitching that's being punished. And when a good team like the Blue Jays comes around, that's what's going to happen. You are going to just get demolished. These teams, I mean, it's this series was just, again, we've had multiple of these, but that's what you have to compete with. And when you're that far behind, and I like what Skylar Timmons kind of said too, it's like, that's what your offense needs to look like at Coors Field. That's why it needs to be figured out on the offensive side. But on the flip side, you can't be allowing what the Rockies have allowed in that series here. Let's just kind of go through a little bit of the AP's recap here for this one here. The first place Blue Jays finished with 5 homers and 24 hits to set a major league record with 63 hits. 63 hits allowed in a 3-game series. 63. That's averaging 20 hits a game. That's averaging 21 hits per game. 21 hits per game. That's unacceptable. That's just, again, this should be a series that has consequences. But there aren't enough consequences for the pitching side. This is horrendous. 63. And again, the context matters of the young guys, young starters, young bullpen after the trade deadline, certainly. But it doesn't matter. This was a skill check as well. This is what a league leading team looks like. This is what a team that has championship aspirations looks like. This is what a competitive, strong AL East, American League leading baseball team looks like. And you're that far behind, Colorado. You are not even remotely close. You're at a point where you are going to be dominated. You're going to give up 10 runs a game to them. You're going to give up 20 plus hits a game to a team. That's flat out getting your ass kicked. And that's what it was. This is and it's not surprising. Toronto's a great team. Toronto's got a great offense. But this is just a reminder of, like, this is what it takes to be great in this league. You need to be able to compete with us. You need to be able to get us out. You need to be able to get outs and be able to be successful against us. And the response that the Rockies had was laying it out for them. Was just sheer domination at the hands of a great baseball team. And that should be, again, and when you're talking about, what's next? How do they get there? What do they need to look like? That's the team they need to look like. And because, again, we're talking about some pitchers here with, Gausman here, the record isn't all that great, but when he was just dominant with that split finger fastball. His record might not be that great, but when he's got the stuff, he's going to be able to dominate you like he dominated the Rockies. And that's what Toronto did. There hasn't been, when you're looking at some of these guys, they might not have the most impressive stat lines, but they have a complete team that can do damage. I mean, kick the ball around a bit too. I mean, not perfect, mind you, but that's what it takes to be great in Major League Baseball. That's what it takes to compete at the highest level in this league. And when the Rockies were faced with a challenge, they got destroyed. And it wasn't just starters too. I mean, there were plenty of issues across the board. Guerrero went 8 for 17 with 2 homers and 4 RBI. Bichette was 7 for 17 with 10 RBI, and Lukes was 6 for 13 with 6 RBI. Just absolutely crazy. 13 home runs hit by the Blue Jays in this series. Take the 2 off at the end, it's only 11. Only 11, I say. Just, I mean, that's the type of thing that you really just hate to see. That's a performance that you just sit there and you just say, that's why the Rockies are in the position they're in. Running into each other, mental mistakes, all sorts of other stuff in this series as well. And then you just get to this finale where it's just, you're out of gas, you're out of bench players, you're out of options, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose 20-1. Because as much as we want to just say, hey, position player, that was still 8 runs scored in that final frame there. I understand who was pitching, but I haven't seen a whole lot of it getting that bad. Just an absolute thorough drubbing at the hands of the Blue Jays. And it's just such a bummer when you're talking about the feeling good, feeling exciting, feeling, hey, this team's had a lot of energy, playing with a lot of confidence, being able to, take some shots in the guts. But no, the difference between these two series, that's the difference between a great team like Toronto and a hot and cold, up and down mismatch. What are we doing? Who's this? Who's that? A middling team at best in the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Rockies have not been ready for the challenge of above 500 teams. Above 500 teams have thoroughly dominated the Colorado Rockies all year long. No surprise. But that's when you're talking about takeaways here, when you're talking about the what's next for the Rockies is these young guys going through it is that's what it looks like when it's going well. That's a team that's locked in and ready to do damage. That's a team with hunger. That's a team of veterans. That's a team that knows how to have quality at bats. That's a team that knows how to attack. That's a team that knows how to capitalize on their opportunities. That's what it takes to win And the Blue Jays didn't keep their foot off the gas. They hammered the pedal to the metal the entire time. Just an absolute embarrassing series for the Colorado Rockies, especially at home. Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep breaking it down all right here on Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason, yes, preseason is here, heating up as we got lots of action going on, and college football isn't far behind. It's the perfect time to lock in your season-long, more or less picks for the 2025 football season, all before Week 1 kicks off. Whether you've got your eyes on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the game. Folks, there's more or less you can check on what's going on with Bo Nix and the Broncos. Cortland Sutton, how's he going to handle the contract year? Well, I guess not the contract year, the year after signing the big contract. How high on the Broncos are you? We'll check out the more or less picks for the 2025 football season available at PrizePicks. The flex play option. Yes, they got a flex play option here. It's a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you still double your money. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks. Run your game. Locked On Rockies here, back with you as we are navigating a tough series here. And let's see what Jim's got to say here in the Locked On Rockies comment section. I think that anyone who cheers for the Colorado Rockies or people who follow the Rockies as in media need to keep asking the following question. Keeping in mind that the fact that this team is still struggling on the field currently, is the Colorado Rockies ownership really ready to change their culture to a winning culture? I know that is probably a no-duh statement, but I really feel that is the only way we'll ever see a great team here in Colorado. We need to force them to be accountable to the fans who have contributed to the cost of the stadium over the years. And I the one thing I'll say is this. I don't think you're seeing a lot of people sit here and try to rose-colored glasses or paint a fuzzy picture or make it seem like the Rockies are in a better spot than they are. Most of the media that I've seen, most of the stuff that I've seen, and when we're talking about people covering the team, has been fairly critical. And again, you might sit there and say, well, there's not, some people aren't. Why aren't they more on the broadcast or certain things? You got to remember, some of these guys are actually, kind of more under the umbrella of the Rockies and have different, that has some kind of different, allowances and what you can and can't do. But if you just scroll through most of the Rockies media and most of the stuff that I see, the people that actually discuss talking about the Rockies, it's mostly just disappointment. It's just flat. I mean, this is a series again where the Rockies have to be on the bottom of tickers again, of scoreboard tickers, losing 20-1. This is a team that's also lost 18-0. This is a team that got blown out in a very similar fashion feeling in Boston not that long ago. This is a team that gave up 10 runs to the White Sox not that long ago. This was a team that that was shut out in 3 games in a row by San Diego. And also, I believe, let me double check the score on that one. Weren't they that had a 21, or was it at the 21-0 loss in that series as well? The Rockies have lost 21-0. They've lost 18-0, and they've lost 20-1. Not to mention a 15-1 loss before that. That's just flat out. I mean, there's no way that you can that they can escape and sit there without anything, without drawing some of the ire and the frustration of fans. They have to. They can't shy away as much as they want to shy away. As much as they might not be. As much as Dick might not be sitting in the crowd anymore. As much as you might not see him around. They can't hide from this. And so when you ask, are they going to be held accountable? Sure, something might happen again, but that's kind of where it's such a weird thing where I keep getting so fired up. I get all this stuff. I go on a rant in that first segment there, but when we're talking about accountability and change, it's just the same treadmill that we run. Am I supposed to sit here and think that because the Rockies dropped another tough series to a good team that big change is actually going to happen? Do I actually think that remember, they've already made moves to bring in Charlie. They've already made some moves to solidify and strengthen the Monfort core and the Monfort hold over the organization. So the only, when you're saying hold them accountable, I mean, I think plenty of people have been holding the Rockies' feet to the fire. There's not been a lot of positive spins on the Rockies in the post from the radio stations that I've seen. But is it really truly going to change anything? That's the biggest question. I mean, again, we're sitting here talking about, why is Bill Schmidt's job safe? Why is Daryl Scott's job safe? And I'm sitting here thinking, these guys are coasting. They're fine. Until the Rockies actually decide to move on from that. And then if they do move on from that, actually have a lengthy process where they actually take some time to research and look into and establish and go outside of their organization to try to help them. We can sit here and say, hold them accountable, say this, sell the team shirts, do all this. The decision ultimately goes back to them. And their track record does not show or does not state that they are really all that interested in going to change. Again, the person that moved on, when we're talking about Charlie Monfort, stepping into that higher position in the organization, that only happened because it was a 30-year career. That sounds like retirement, and a little tired of dealing with all this stuff. It's not that there was like we got to have this season's been the big result. So accountability, sure. And again, I don't think that there's been a lot of purple washing the Rockies season this year. But I'm just at a point where it's just kind of like, it's exhausting to keep talking about and keep bringing it up and keep asking and keep saying the same things, because you guys are probably like, talk about something else, but it's hard not to want to focus on these things, because series like this should lead to change. Seasons like this should lead to change. Seasons like the last two should lead to change, but it's the Colorado Rockies we're talking about. So I don't know. And my confidence in there, and as much as we talked about, again, I like that this team has been showing, there are some situations that show they've had the gut. They have played better baseball in the second half here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're 8 and 10 in the second half. That's certainly a much better rate than what they were at before. That's a much better start and a much better near month that they've had all season long. Tovar's hitting doubles. We're still seeing some stuff, and it's a young team going through it too. The Rockies have a very big experience gap compared to these other teams. That is an important note of this season. That's an important factor of all of this stuff. But it does go back to what I always say. It's getting these guys to where they need to go. And I'm not in a position for me to believe that that's the case. We'll see. Rockies try to bounce back against Arizona. We'll talk more about that, probably previewing it for the Friday episode here, kind of talking about the differences in the teams there and all that good stuff. But I want to talk about something I also saw making the rounds a little bit on Rockies Twitter, which was, should the Rockies be active in getting Bo Bichette to come play second base for them? Let's talk about that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day right now. Not really for the Rockies, but you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for exciting upcoming MLB games. Maybe you're in Arizona and you want to go check out Rockies Diamondbacks. You can do that, or check them out when the Diamondbacks and Dodgers are back in town. If you're tired of endless scrolling, they got the Gametime zone deals that are going to pick the best seats in your section for you. Plus, you're going to get that panoramic seat view, so you're going to know exactly what the view is from your seat right when you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Locked On Rockies here, back for your final segment on this Thursday edition of Locked On Rockies. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. And folks, we you know what, it's just, man, I just want consistency from the Rockies, right? A little bit more consistency is all I was asking for it to not get so bad. And unfortunately, it got way bad. It got big time bad. It got painfully bad in this series. But I saw some folks, including Skylar Timmons, and I believe I think I can't remember who all I saw on the interwebs there talking about going out and seeing about getting Bo Bichette, because Bo Bichette kind of had a big week here against the Rockies, dominating the Colorado Rockies in this series here. Again, let's read his stat line there. Bo Bichette was 7 for 17 with 10 RBI. And so I believe multiple home runs in this series as well for Bo Bichette, doing damage big time there. You know, Bo Bichette would be a massive upgrade for the Colorado Rockies. 2.7 WAR this season here. He's almost got 500 at-bats, 15 homers, he's batting 300, 74 RBI, 341 OBP, a slugging of 468, an OPS of 809. If you were to just insert Bo Bichette into the Colorado Rockies right now, he would be let me double check here so I can get hold on. Sorry. I need to get the 2025 Colorado Rockies. I did the wrong search here. So if you're looking at the highest ranked player by WAR right now, it would be Hunter Goodman at 2.2. So if you inserted Bo Bichette into this lineup, he would be the best player on the Rockies in terms of WAR and performance. Not a big surprise in this. So the biggest question, you know, and when the reality is, Bo Bichette is going to be offering, with this bounce back season, especially if it continues and he stays healthy, he's going to be in a position where this is going to be a massive contract. The big question would be, how comfortable are you in going out and getting someone like a Bo Bichette, making a move that big in a season next year where you're kind of at, you know, you're like, hey, what does next year even really look like for the Rockies? But when you're talking about, okay, you've moved on from McMahon, you a lot of these guys will have time under their belt. What type, you know, an offseason coming in, what type of adjustments will they be made? Mixed, of course, with the fact that you did sign Estrada for a multi-year deal. But let's be real. Let's you know, as unfortunate as it is to see Estrada back on the IL, you signed a guy, and the biggest concern about him was injury history. What's happened to Estrada all year long? Injury history. And while Bo Bichette had a down year last year because of injury, Bo Bichette has been nothing but an above average, you know, a 1 WAR player at minimum throughout his career. 2.3 WAR in 2019, 1.1 in 2020, 5.9 in 2021, 3.7 in 22, 4.8 in 23, both 21 and 23 all-star years. Last year, the down year, and now 2025 so far, 2.7 WAR. And he's also sitting here where he's on pat. He could certainly set a new high in hits here if he continues to stay as hot as possible. And the biggest thing you're looking at this right now, struck out only 75 times. If adding this type of player into your lineup would be a total game changer and certainly make you a much better team. But are the Rockies going to be in a position to financially be able to match and offer what Bo Bichette's looking for? And are they going to be able to be fielding a competitive enough team that makes it worth it? It really does feel like before the Rockies make another big splash free agent, they have to have a season where these guys kind of prove it a little bit more, where the Rockies are a scrappy young team that still lose a lot, but you can kind of see things. I just don't think that there's enough here that would attract Bo Bichette outside of a really lengthy time commitment and money commitment. And what are the finances really of the Rockies? How much are they able to do this? Now they've announced 2 new sponsorships. They've shedded some of their payroll. They're still going to be dealing with the Senza, Freeland, and Bryant contracts next year that are going to be eating into their finances. Can the Rockies even afford to go after someone like a Bo Bichette? I'm pretty sure it's still a little too early for him for it to be an idea. Let me see if I can do a quick search for a Bo Bichette projected contract. Maybe see if there's. Okay, so let's see. Unrestricted free agent, and he's making $17 million this year. I'm trying to see if there would be a projection. I'm trying to see if there was a because I just got this AI evaluation here, and I don't know. So let's take this huge with the grain of salt here. It's showing me the sources it's pulling from here, include the New York Times, the Sporting News, and Jay's Journal here. And these are from March. So this is before the season that they're pulling some of these numbers from. So again, grain of salt, all of this real quick, but quickest information we can get. Bo Bichette is projected to receive a contract in the range of $170 million to $237 million. Several sports news sources have reported that he command a deal at least $200 million if he has a strong offensive year, which he is. One projection has him earning $237 million over 9 years, while others suggest a shorter-term deal with opt-outs could be more appealing. So that's if you're interested in signing Bichette, are you cool with signing up for the Chris Bryant contract where it's like, okay, we're committing here. He is 27, so he'll be 28 going into the season next year. And say you sign him for a 7-year, $200 million deal like that reference there. Are you comfortable? Are you confident? Are you okay with that? Or are you feeling a little burned by some of the contracts? Or are you feeling like, is this the time to commit to another big deal contract like that? Or is it, let's see a little bit more. We're going to go through it again. Let's be honest, folks, an 100-loss season next year ain't going to be out of the question. So if you're willing to bring him in on that long contract, how long are you willing to let him play at his prime on a losing team while spending a lot of money at the same time? If the Rockies decide that the fix to their offseason is to bring in a Bichette to spend money to build or to enhance some of the pieces and not scrape for bargain bin veteran guys to build out the roster, while to beef up their roster to give these guys a little bit more protection to make it so Tovar and Goodman are batting along, the Bichettes of the league, that could be interesting. But it does seem like a risky time to sign someone for a long-term deal, a big expensive deal, if you're not making a lot of moves to make the team better in a hurry. And I just have a very hard time believing that the Rockies are just going to crack open the wallet, crack open the paycheck or the contracts and start bringing people in. Because it is interesting, because maybe Estrada could be moved over to third if you're just looking for someone to play third to fill time. Who knows what they might be able to do from within the organization as well. Some of the more interesting guys that are having some decent summers at the minor league level, to let Bichette play second base and move on and see how you can go from there. Bo Bichette makes your team better, but is now the right time. Because I don't think adding Bo Bichette on a short-term contract just for this, maybe with the idea of flipping him, could be interesting. But I just don't know if that's going to be the route that the Rockies will take. I just don't know if now is the time to be adding someone like a Bo Bichette. But when is the time? Why would you not? If Bo Bichette's interested in being a Rocky, if you're having progress, if you're able to see a path where it can happen, why wouldn't you want to make your team better as well? I think there is certainly a deal that could be made that does it, but I think the only way that you make a deal for him is if you make the deal as a series of other deals and you decide, okay, enough of this. We're going to address this problem by adding quality veteran players to our team. Let me know what you think. Would you sign Bo Bichette if possible, and what type of contract would you do? Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night. Plus, we got you covered with more Colorado sports coverage with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, folks, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.